Yep. Hey, we're not too late. I was thinking, man. Hello and welcome to the Weekend Eve. I am Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice. This is Any Given Sunday on KUAW. Coach 24, Darwin Penny, is out of town, so he will not be on the show tonight, but running the show behind the scenes, and he will be giving his 411 to you guys that are lucky to listen to us tonight. DJ Scatter, George Walker, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing super fantastic this evening and glad to be here with you.
Oh, man, I am glad to be here, too. Yes, we were running late. Well, George Walker wasn't running late. It was Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice, running late. So I had just gotten off work and came straight here. So I just got here. But we'll be running the show. Hopefully Darwin will at least be listening to us. And if he does, he will call in. And you guys can call in too. 816-599-6893 is the phone number. So you guys can call in, speak your piece, just say hi. Think about what the Royals are doing right now, or should I say not doing right now, and that is scoring runs. And just real quick, John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, and some guy named Victor. It just flashed on my phone real quick. They are the leaders at the Masters. So this morning when I was driving into work, I guess the first golfer already had teed off, and he got a birdie and was leading the pack. And I want to say his name was like Marty McQueen, something like that. Now, if I could say that I was leading in the Masters, I don't care if I was the first guy and I was the first one to complete the hole, I still lead. And I may not be able to finish the tournament. I may get cut from the tournament, or I may not win the tournament. But by golly, you can say that at the Masters. Oh, my God, that would be incredible. So, but I know the guy would rather keep playing and at least make it all 4 days. I do not know how Tiger Woods did. I will find out shortly after a little bit to see how he did today. I know that he was even par, and I want to say in the first 9 holes. Don't quote me on that, but that he was par. But like I said, I will check out the stats and see how he did. I'll tell you what, Tiger has been around 25 years. He's been a phenomenal talent, and no matter who is the stud and who is playing great, everybody wants to know what Tiger Woods does. To me, it was like Tom Watson. It did not matter. Every time I got the newspaper, and I've got the newspaper in front of me, and they don't even have the stats that used to be. I mean, they had everything. So I would get the paper, and I would look in in there, and I would see the golf scores. And the first thing I would do was look at the top to see if Tom Watson was at the top of the leaderboard. And then if I didn't, I'd go down and see how far he was. But I always wanted to see how he did. Well, the Nationwide, they look to see how Tiger's doing. Yes, Tiger is nowhere the player that he was 5-10 years ago, but the fact that he can still play it, and look, he's had personal issues. I get that, but until I find somebody that can come in here and walk on water, and to be honest, do it with cement shoes in the middle of a lake, then you need to stop criticizing him. Yeah, he made mistakes. He's the one that has to pay for it. You guys don't. You can sit there and bash him all you want, but Tiger Woods, I've always been a fan of Tiger Woods, and I will always be a fan of Tiger Woods. So with that, I will definitely check that. Now, we are looking at baseball, and the Royals have played 6 games, and now did they play today? It looks like they played at 1 o'clock, so I do not know how they did today. Do you know offhand?
No, let me see if I can get that up really quick.
And just saying, I've been at work all day. I haven't paid attention. I was concentrating on getting my job done and stuff, so that's the reason why I do not know about today. But I was listening on the radio, and I didn't hear nothing, so I don't know what's going on. But I will say this.
Royals 3.
Ooh, so they did score some runs. So now, in 17 games, they have scored, or what did I say, 17 games? In 7 games, they've played a week full of games. They've scored 17 runs. And here I have the stats for the first 6 games. And outside of Matt Duffy, who went 7 for 5 in the last 2 games, not counting today, so Tuesday and Wednesday's games he played, he is batting .714. But the highest regular that has played at least 5 games is Salvador Perez, and he's averaging .263. That is it. The next highest, you know who the next highest is? Kyle Isbell, who is off right now because his wife just gave birth to their first child. Hey, that's awesome. You need to be there with your wife. You need to be there. I was there for all 3 of my kids. I imagine you were there for all your kids. So it is, it's a beautiful thing. Saying that, he is the second leading hitter, or technically third, but he's the second leading hitter on the Royals at .214. .214. I mean, and then Jackie Bradley Jr. is batting Bob Uecker average. Remember Bob Uecker? They always talked about the Mendoza line. So for you youngsters who don't have a clue what I'm talking about, the Mendoza line was what if they said you couldn't hit the Mendoza line, that meant you couldn't hit 200. Well, Jackie Bradley Jr., he is batting 200, exactly 200. He's got 2 hits and 10 at bats, and everybody else is batting under 200. I mean, Bobby Witt, who has played in all 6 games, I don't know if he played today, but he has in 21 at bats has 2 hits. Dozier in 4, he played in 5 games. He started 4 of them. He has 14. He has 14 at bats. He has 1 hit. So here's this: we have 180 at bats in the first 6 games. So that's averaging 30 at bats. Now, if a pitcher throws a perfect game and retires all 27 batters, that's 27 at bats. That you're saying that the Royals are getting 3 extra at bats to go with it. And that's wrong. They've had 2 games where they've only had 2 hits in the game. That was the first game, and that was last night's game. And here's the ironic part. Zach Greinke pitched both of them, and he only gave up, I believe, 2 runs. 1 run in the first game and 1 run last night. So he's given up 2 runs. Let me see what I can find. Pitching, Zach Greinke, he is 0-2. He has pitched 11 innings. He has given up 13 hits and 3 runs. And they're all 3 earned runs. He's struck out 8. He's walked 2. He has got an ERA of 2.38. That is not bad. And yet he is getting 0 run support this year. Not little run support. He's getting 0 run support. So you've got these other pitchers. You know, you have Brady Singer, who won his only game. He gave up 1 run on 2 hits, and it was in 5 innings. So it was a quality start. Even Bubich, he gave up only 2 runs in 5 innings. That is a quality start. Quality start is if you get 2 runs or less in 5 innings, 3 runs or less in 6 innings or more. But the pitchers are not pitching bad. Their team ERA is 3.67. That is great. That's what you want. Now we got to get these hits and these hitters to hit home runs and get singles, doubles, score some runs, manufacture some runs. They can't even manufacture anything. It is just pathetic. They left their hot-hitting bats back in Arizona, back in Surprise. So I work for the USPS. I need somebody who works at the USPS go down to Surprise and grab the Royals bats, not the Texas Rangers bats, but the Royals bats, and bring them up here because obviously they left them behind. It is so frustrating. And then today they lose 6-3. So now, starting tomorrow, they go to San Francisco for a 3-game series, and then they turn around and play the Texas Rangers for a 3-game series there, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then their first day off will be Thursday, next Thursday. And hopefully Coach 24 will be in studio so we can talk with him, so we can discuss this and what's going on. But I will give you the standings right now. Tampa Bay is the only team that was undefeated by Tuesday. They are 5-0. Everybody else has at least 1 loss. Atlanta and Milwaukee are 4-1. Minnesota is 4-1. Well, and as you could tell, they totally just crushed the Royals. They held them to 18 shutout innings, 19 shutout innings, and then finally before the Royals finally wheeled in their first run of the season in the 3rd game, and then everybody else has at least 1 win, even the Royals. The Royals do have the worst record in the American League. They are the only team right now that only has one win, 1 victory, and they are at 1-6. You've got a couple of other teams here. You have Washington and Philadelphia, but like I said, it's based on Tuesday's games. I do not know Wednesday's. I don't have any of their scores or today's games with their scores. So now my Padres, they're my other team besides the Royals. They are 3-3, but that's okay. They're 500. But here's the thing, if the Royals don't kick it in gear, fans are gonna turn on them. Now, I'm not gonna ever turn on them. I will get disappointed. It would be just like one of my kids. I know they struggle, and I'm still gonna support them. But if they are just totally just not performing, we have to figure out something so they can start performing and do their best in life. And I know in life and baseball is totally two different things, but still, fans come out. It's like a movie. When I go to a movie, I get away for 2 hours and focus on the movie. I don't worry, they tell you don't get on your phone and stuff like that, and I try not to. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I'm sitting there watching the movie. I all of my troubles and issues or whatever is going on in my life goes away for those couple of hours. That's what a baseball game does. That's what a football game does. People come out to the Chiefs game, they tailgate, they party, and then they get in and they cheer. And people seem to, maybe they don't forget, but they should remember that the Chiefs were bad at one point. Remember the 70s? So in the 70s, and yeah, right. Well, because when you could start the mids, technically right after that longest game where they lost to the Miami Dolphins in 1971, it started going down, and management did a horrible job of trying to replace those older players. They were phenomenal players, but they were getting long in the tooth. They weren't playing as well as they did during the Super Bowl years. So you have to replace them. The Chiefs today, they're doing a great job. But I remember when the Chiefs were horrible. They could barely win. I mean, we had Paul Wiggins as a head coach. We even had Marv Levy. And Marv Levy was actually about ready to turn the Chiefs around when Joe Delaney passed away in '83. And they just never seemed to get it back. Well, the Royals lost Ace Ventura, and they have never been the same since. We have not been able to find that pitcher that has that attitude, like, no matter what the situation is, I'm going to come in and I'm going to give it my best. Even if he got lit up, he still came in there like he was going to dominate. And, you have Brady Singer, who's a good pitcher, but he is not that dominant pitcher. And ever since Ventura passed away, we have been struggling. And saying that, we have to move on. But we have to start getting better players. We have to start getting better coaching. And I know it's only 7 games into the season. And who knows? Maybe they'll turn it around next week. They'll go on the road. They won't have to face the home crowd, and they can just relax and maybe start playing some better ball. You have a rookie coach, rookie manager who has never managed before. You have young players playing. And even though Bobby Witt Jr. played last year, all season, he's still only 22 years old. I mean, he is, he's still growing and still learning and everything else. But as bad as they are playing, we still need to stand behind them and support them. You would your child, because you love your child. Well, I love the Royals, and I'm hoping they'll get better. You want them to win every game, but you have to be there for it. And yes, they've talked about getting a new stadium downtown. In fact, it's so bad that I guess at the Hall of Fame, there's a sign above the Hall of Fame building that the R is off. It fell off. I guess the Hall of Fame, Royals Hall of
Oh,
Fame.
you're talking about the Royals? Hall
Yeah.
of Fame?
So they're not, and they're probably not even going to put it back up. I mean
Yeah.
that it almost sounds like a minor league baseball team. But I get that they want a new stadium. I get that they're going to do whatever it takes to get that new stadium. And a lot of people says they shouldn't get that new stadium. Well, here's the thing. Once the Royals get that new stadium downtown, then the Chiefs can get their new stadium and try to work on getting that. Now, you can say, well, they don't need one. Well, no, those stadiums are over 50 years old. Or no, they are 50. It's 50 years old
51,
this year.
50, yeah, they went
Yeah,
72, didn't they? Yeah,
No,
they
73.
was 73?
Yeah, it was 1973 because Harry Truman had passed it, but he passed away in 1972, so he never got to be able to see the stadiums at full, the completion of it. So, but the Chiefs, if they can get a new once they can get that new stadium in there, then here's what they can do. They can put in a roof or a retractable roof. You can open that roof up, and I know a lot of people go, no, they don't need an indoor facility. They need outdoors. No, because then they want to be able to do other things with that stadium because it's an entertainment value. Football used to just be football. Now it's entertainment. You've got wrestling, you've got concerts, you got entertainment, and you want to bring people coming in from Kansas City, and you don't want them thinking that this is still a horse and buggy town. You want to say, look, this is a top class city. It's not. It will never be compared to Chicago, New York, or L.A. by any stretch of the imagination. But you can still be up there with them, and you can match it. You can still be classy. You can still be, bring in all the people. But the thing of it is, I mean, we just got in a new airport, and yes, some people loved it, some people hated it because Kansas City sometimes, well, no, I won't even just say Kansas City. People in general don't like change. I love my mom and dad. I love them to death. They are the greatest parents in the world, but they are a type that don't want change. They balk at change. They will kick and scream. I mean, it's like dragging a 2-year-old kid to get their hair cut, and they are dragging. You have to drag them into the barbershop to do it. They don't want change. And sometimes I have that feeling too, but I also realize that in order to evolve and grow and even get better, you have to change. You have to bring that in. So all these people that are saying, Royals don't need a downtown stadium. They're horrible. But think of it like this. Yes, we won a World Series in 2015. Yes, it was 8 years ago that we won that World Series. So it's approaching 10 years. But the fact is, we have won a World Series. What has Miami done virtually in the last 10 years? They haven't done nothing. They haven't even been to a Super Bowl since 1983 when Dan Marino led them. So I'm telling you, Dan Marino, and I remember that because I was 17 years old, and I remember how all the teams, not just the Chiefs, but everybody left him behind because they thought he was a project, and he ended up becoming a Hall of Famer. Yes, he did not win a Super Bowl, but he led them to a Super Bowl. They haven't had winning. Miami Heat haven't had winning in over 10 years, and that was when Dwayne Wade and LeBron James was there. The Miami Marlins, they haven't done anything in 10, 15 years. I believe, no, it was Arizona, but Miami beat Cleveland in the 90s. And I think they won one more title with John. Is it John Brown? John Brown was one of the pitchers, and Pug Rodriguez was catching. So I'm telling, when I mention players like them, it is a while back. I mean, these kids, these 20, 25-year-old kids are like going, who are you talking about? Well, that should tell you something. At least the Chiefs have won recently. The Royals have won recently. Maybe it wasn't last week or last year, but they have had winning, and we have seen it. There are a lot of other cities that haven't done nothing. And, I mean, heck, look at Chicago. Bulls haven't won nothing. Now, maybe the Blackhawks, but the Blackhawks, it was still early in the 2010s when they won it. You have the White Sox. Now, I think the White Sox have made it to the World Series within the last 10 years, but still, I don't think they won it. I think they lost, and I'm trying to think that they played. No, they didn't play St. Louis. I'll have to look at that, but still, But when the Royals were winning, when the Chiefs, ever since 1989. The Chiefs have always supported the Chiefs, or the fans have always supported the Chiefs. But when the Royals started winning, when it was back in the 70s, back in the 80s, even somewhat in the 90s, because the 94 season they were the best team in the American League. Montreal was actually the best team in baseball and had a shot at going to a possible World Series and stuff like that. But when 2014, 2015, and even 2016, we came out and we supported this team.
Oh, yeah.
So you come out when everybody's winning. It's like a marriage.
Winning definitely attracts a crowd.
Right. Winning does. Okay. You and Mildred are a phenomenal couple. Have you guys had winning years every year?
No.
Okay. So you had to work through it, but your friends didn't desert you. Your family didn't desert you, when you were struggling. Well, this is the same thing. The Royals are family. They are from Kansas City. Huey Kaufman brought them in 1969 when I was 3 years old, and they have brought in, and for the most part, they have been productive. Yes, we need to fix what issues they are. But unfortunately, these issues are not something that can be solved overnight. It's going to take a little bit of time. And, and who knows, maybe once the new stadium comes down, then they will start showing up. Maybe the players will get better, or we can start bringing in somebody. I still want to bring in
one thing they want to see is a little bit of excitement out there. You've got to win some.
Right, you do.
You don't have to have a World Series team every year, but if you have some excitement out there,
right,
that helps.
Absolutely.
The same way with the Chiefs, even in the worst of times, if you've got a running back, if you got somebody that's setting a record, even though the team's losing,
right,
but he ran 1,000 yards, and everybody's talking about it.
Right, absolutely, and I get that. And so the Royals need to start performing better.
Somebody on the team.
Right, absolutely. So somebody, just get it going. Because fans are quickly starting to. It's almost like a building that they're anticipating a fire, and they're rushing out to make sure that they don't get there when the fire starts. So you just have to just keep the course and just keep hoping that they will get it going. and hopefully they will step it up. Hopefully they won't have that long month where they have played horrible baseball, and try to, and try to get better and try to avoid all that. And with that, we are at halftime on Any Given Sunday. Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice, DJ Scatter, George Walker is here, Darwin Penny, Coach 24. So we will. Oh, did I hear a phone?
No, was it?
I thought I heard.
I heard something.
Yeah, I heard something. But anyway, 816-599-6893 is the phone number. If you want to give a call after halftime, give us a call, speak your piece, and we'll discuss that. So right now we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back on Any Given Sunday on KUAW.
All right, now we're back with Kansas City's premier sports show, Any Given Sunday, with the Awesome Voice and Coach 24.
Awesome. Thank you very much, DJ Scatter. And my best friend is trying to call me, and I'm like, I just messaged him telling him I'm on my show. I will call you afterwards, and he still keeps calling me right now. I'm like,
man, what's going on?
We just needed to talk about something. It was I don't think it's nothing important. I hope it's nothing important. And if it is, I am sorry. He's not on Facebook, so he can't hear us talking right now.
Well.
So I did my research. Like I told you guys, I was gonna check the Masters, and Brooks Koepka, Victor Vollen, and John Rahm are tied for first. With -7, and that is really good scores. Now, saying that, today I believe it was something like 80 degrees, and it's supposed to drop down to like 60 or even in the 50s. So I don't know how the weather is going to be, but oh my goodness, it could be rough. Jason Day, Cameron Young are tied for fourth at 5 under. Phil Mickelson and Roy McIlroy. Oh, Phil Mickelson is -1. Roy McIlroy is even, and Tiger Woods is 54th with a +2. So he's doing well. Now, a lot of people, I guess there's been mixed reviews about the people that are on the live tour. So, but the Masters said, we'll let you guys play. And so I guess some of them got in with open arms and some of them with, jeers, cheers and jeers.
Oh,
so,
from the crowd?
Yeah. So, but, I don't know. I mean, if somebody is throwing millions and millions and millions of dollars at me to play in theirs,
hey.
Sometimes
set
you get
your family for life.
right. We are awesome. We get along great, but you don't pay my bills and I don't pay your bills. So,
Right.
if something better happens, you're going to go for it.
For sure.
Exactly. So, but these, but the golfers, like I said, right now there's really high scores because usually the Masters, I've seen Tiger Woods win a Masters like at -3, -5, and these guys are already at -7. And they still have 3 more rounds of golf to play. So just wanted to let everybody know that because I told you that I would check that. The Braves right now are beating the Padres 1-0. Now, in hockey, the Buffalo Sabres are my team, and they are losing right now to the Detroit Red Wings by the score of 2-1. They are and Missouri right now is tied 1-1 in NCAA baseball. So go Tigers. Speaking of college, Bill Self today had a press conference, and he, people were thinking possibly he was going to retire. He's 60 years old, but he said that he 100% will return next year. He said the only way that he doesn't is if the chancellor or the athletic director says no, they don't want me anymore, and that would be the only way. So, but I believe they put some stents in his valves going to his heart. So,
they've always been a little, I guess, protecting his privacy. They haven't put a lot out.
Right. Absolutely.
I guess they'll let him decide if he wants to say anything about it. But
right.
I thought about that from the beginning because first it was just a procedure. You didn't know if it was the heart, if it was his head, his foot, anything.
Oh, absolutely.
And that went on for a while, and then it slowly came out that there was something with his heart.
Yep.
And so they've been really that's maybe the way the family wants it or something, but usually you hear a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. Well, in the professional, so if it was the manager of the Royals, the head coach of the Chiefs, you would know more about this because they're professionals and they are more they're more open access than the
That's
cop.
Evidently the truth, because I was thinking for a long time, what's wrong with him? They're saying he's missing, he's out, and I'm thinking like they don't know.
Right. Well, they know.
Yeah, I figured that is that
right.
Okay. They're
well, and if he's missing NCAA tournament games, that's huge. Yeah. Because that's the time of year, and they were trying to be the first back-to-back team since Florida. Back in the almost 20 years ago.
And especially when he got out of the hospital and you still didn't see him, because at first it seemed like he wanted to, but then it was no, he's not going to do anything. So I thought, okay, that seems more like a heart or something, because he's up and about, but he's not stressing himself.
Well, and now he realizes, and just like all of us, I mean, even me, I realize – and I'm not going to use Bill Self because he actually talked about it. He goes, he's coaching these players, and these players are in tip-top shape. They are, technically they're professional athletes when it comes to conditioning and stuff. Yeah, they may be college players, but they want them in the top shape possible so they can be able to perform 40 minutes at a time. And so, but the one thing they don't do, coaches or managers or whoever, is take care of themselves. And he's realized that he needs to start taking care of himself. I mean, he is 60 years old. I'm 57, and I realize that I can't just run around at 23 years old, sprain my ankle a little bit, and a couple of days later I'll be fine. If I sprain my ankle now, I don't know how long I'll be out.
It's a whole lot different as time goes on. You don't bounce back as fast.
No,
things don't heal as fast.
No, and your metabolism goes bye-bye. So you have to keep working to keep that metabolism going. So you can, the metabolism helps you lose weight. And yes, I'm doing a doctor's venue. I'm Dr. Awesome Voice right now. but
the views and opinion of this medical thing is not the views and opinion of KUAW Radio.
There you go. So the station just protected themselves. So, but yes, you have to and it goes for anybody. It doesn't even include athletes and coaches and all that. I mean, everybody needs to start taking care of of themselves.
Oh, yes.
So that's the thing. But saying that, unless something dramatic happens, Bill Self will return next year as the coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, saying that, you've had Boeheim leave, you've had Krzyzewski leave, you've had there's a couple of others. Roy Williams. I mean, the big name coaches that have been around forever are starting to dissipate, and Bill Self has actually become that top tier head coach. The one that's been there forever,
and the elder statesman.
Right. And so once he leaves, you're virtually bringing in a new regiment of coaches. I mean, yeah, you do have Mark Few from Gonzaga. He's been there for 10 or so years, but you even had Jay Wright from Villanova, and he's no longer there. Mike Bray, the head coach, or the head coach of Notre Dame. So you seeing all these coaches go, and it's sad because it's kind of like my childhood, as I was growing up in my early adulthood, going in my 30s and 40s. I saw all these coaches. I saw, Bill Self is only a few years older than me. He was playing at Oklahoma State at the time I was in high school. So I've known of him forever, and I mean, which is roughly 40 years, and and now eventually Father Time, even in the coaching rankings, Father Time is undefeated. So you got all that stuff. So, but
that is for sure.
It is for sure. So now I'm going to change a little bit to the NBA basketball. Well, actually, just I guess the Basketball Hall of Fame. The Basketball Hall of Fame has got their new inductees. They have Dirk Nowitzki. They have Dwayne Wade, Tony Parker, Paul Gasol, Becky Hammon. Now, for people who don't know who Becky Hammon is, she was a college stud at Colorado State. She was an All-American 3 times. Even though she wasn't selected in the NBA draft, she did start her career with the New York Liberty as a backup and then became a starter, made the All-Star team 6 times, 4-time all WNBA team and is one of the WNBA's all-time greatest passers. So roughly, she's like a Magic Johnson, John Stockton, someone like them. She also played a little bit in Russia. Um, she did, I guess, became a Russian citizen and earned a bronze medal in the 2008 Olympics playing for Russia. The controversy has eased as Hammonds coached in the NBA as an assistant and is now in the WNBA as the head coach of the Las Vegas Aces. So she was actually a coach, a assistant coach in the NBA. So that's pretty impressive.
What is she going in as, though?
Um,
As a player?
she'll have to go in it as a player because
Yeah.
she hasn't coached that much
Right.
because this has been 20 years, so you know that she's been playing more than she had coached. I mean, she was still playing up in 2008 and 9, and I imagine even more than that. So, but as a player, and then probably mixed in with the coaching too. And then you got Greg Popovich, who is he is the all-time leading NBA coach with 1,363 wins. I mean, he's had some phenomenal players though. He's had David Robinson, Tim Duncan, to say the few, Manu Ginobili, Parker. I mean, he even had Dennis Rodman playing for him. So, but he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. You have the 76 U.S. Women's Olympic team that featured Ann Myers, Lusa Harris, Nancy Lieberman, Patricia Head, other known as Pat Summit. They were phenomenal. They were technically the dream team before the '92 men's dream team. That's how awesome they were. They had dominated international basketball, winning 9 of 11 possible gold medals at the Olympics, 11 golds in 17 World Cup appearances. So I mean, they just totally dominated. And I remember those ladies. Ann Myers, also she was married to Don Drysdale. So, and then also elected to the Hall, Purdue's head coach Gene Keady, Gary Blair, the former Texas A&M women's coach, David Hickson, who coached Amherst College men's team, Gene Bess, who coached at Three Rivers Community College in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. And then Jim Valvano, who coached the North Carolina. So Jim Valvano finally made it to the Hall of Fame. So I am very pleased that he made that. But saying that, we also have the NBA playoffs, and the Lakers have seemed to kick it in gear a little bit. They have I believe, the seventh or eighth best record, which means that they still are in the play-in tournament. Because what they do now is the top 6 teams are already in the playoffs, but then they take 8, 9, 10, 11 and play those 9, 10. Wait, hold on. No, 7, 8, 9, 10. They are playing, and then I think they do 2 more. So, I mean, it's almost like everybody is in the playoffs. But the top 6 do not have to play in to get in. They are already in. You have the next level that they do play in, and that starts next week, because most of these teams are at 79 games, and there's 82 games in a season. And from what I'm looking here, there are not very many teams. Well, there's one team that's at 80, but they're not going to make the playoffs. Sacramento is the surprise team. They are in third place. They claimed the Pacific Division, and so I'm really happy with Sacramento, because Sacramento, yes, they came from Kansas City. They were the
Kansas City Kings.
They were the Kansas City Omaha Kings.
Okay.
So they played a few games in Omaha. So, and I remember going to those games. Sam Lacey, Otis Birdsong, Phil Ford. I mean, oh my gosh, Scott Wedman. I mean, they were, they were great. And I still remember they made it to the Western Conference Finals against the Houston Rockets. And here was the funny thing.
Tiny Archibald.
Right, Tiny Archibald was there, and I believe it was like one of his last years before he moved over to the Boston Celtics. But in that Western Conference, every team that had a game, whenever the two teams played, the lower ranked team won every single match. So the number one played the number 8. The number 8 beat the number 1. The number 2 lost to the number 7. The number 6 beat the number 3, and all that. So when it came to the Kings and the Rockets, the Kings were the 7th seed, and I was like, no, I'm hoping that they'll change the form, they'll change their luck, and hopefully they will be the ones that beat them. But no, Houston ended up beating them, and then they got smoked by the Boston Celtics. So, but yeah, but anyway, Boston is leading the Atlantic, and I believe they have the second best record in basketball behind the Milwaukee Bucks. Philadelphia is third. And then you've got Cleveland, who surprisingly have been playing really well. You got Miami, who is, who is leading the Southeast. But the thing of it, but starting next week, I believe starting next week, they will start playing the play-in games and get everything going. And so next month is going to be playoff time. And so and NHL is about the same at the same pace. They play 80 games and everybody is getting close. And so Boston, though, I believe they have a shot. And I believe they've got 3 games. I think they have to win all 3 games to beat the most score or the most wins in NHL history. I think it's 62, and I believe it's 132. So they will not be able to beat the points because they will only get 2, which will be it'll be 131 if they win their next 3 games. So they'll just miss that, but they still have a shot at winning. But they are 60, 12, and 5. They are just totally just whooping everybody. And I had something I was going to say, I was going to bring up, and I totally forgot. Oh, and you know how Missouri is getting close to being able to bet. Bring
sports betting.
Yeah, sports betting to Missouri instead of just going into Kansas. Well, a guy at work, a friend of mine, he made a $5 bet. If he gets this bet right, and I'll tell you how much he can win. But here was his 4 picks, parlay picks. 1, the Kansas City Chiefs had to win the Super Bowl. 2, the Georgia Bulldogs had to win the national title. 3, the Boston Celtics have to win the NBA title. And 4, the Yukon Huskies had to win the NCAA title. Now, you can say the other three could be almost a given, but how ironic that Yukon and I will tell you this: Monday night they completed a complete domination of those 6 games, and to be my personal opinion, that was the most dominating performance since the 1990 UNLV Running Rebels, who just annihilated Duke and beat them by 30 points in the championship game. You know, every time San Diego State even got close, they just stepped on their throat. So, saying that, my friend has 3 of the 4. He has UConn, he has the Chiefs, he has Georgia. If Boston Celtics win the NBA title, on a $5 bet, he will win $3,200 plus. On a $5 bet.
Not bad.
I mean, how many people waste $5, at a thing? I get people all the time. Yeah, I went to Starbucks, or I went to Scooters and bought me a coffee. One of those coffees could net him $3,200 plus. So I am really hoping. I didn't want Boston because I really wanted Sacramento to win the NBA, but for him, I want Boston to win. I'd love to see him win just on that $5 bet. And so, you can bet like that without, being an alcohol or a gambling anonymous, so much of a gambler
problem. Yeah,
right. It makes it a problem. That's $5. I mean, and
if that's all he spent.
That is all he spent, $5. He just put in $5. I saw it. He showed it to me, and it said $5, and then this is how much he was going to win. So that is really awesome. So anyway, then we've got Kansas City. The current are 0-2 right now. They've only scored 1 goal. Kansas City Sporting has struggled. They have lost 3 and tied 3, and they've only got 3 points. They've only scored 2 goals and given up 7. So, I mean, the defense is great, but the offense, like the Kansas City Royals, is inept. Big
Maybe
time.
There's something going on in the air here in Kansas City.
I'm telling you what.
Nobody seems to be turning on the lights. Because I was thinking the Royals have competition now. That's another thing they have to look at, because it used to be it was the boys of summer. Right. But now you've got other sporting venues here in Kansas City opening up or already going, and soccer starts up, and even the Monarchs are playing.
Right.
So you've got to make sure you have something on the field to keep people coming, because there are a few more opportunities to go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely, because if they don't want to watch the Royals, they'll go watch the Monarchs. The Monarchs have been – I believe they won a title. What was it, 2 years ago?
I think something like that.
And then last year they were in the playoffs.
They've had a couple of decent years.
Right, absolutely. So, but they were winning. That was the point.
Well, yeah.
They were a winning product. So, absolutely. So, we are up against the time on any given Sunday.
Oh.
And just a real quick notice, D.L. Marshall will be on the show on the 27th of April. I am still trying to get Al Fitzmaurice from the Kansas City Royals to come on here. I may need Darwin to maybe try to talk to him and say, hey, get a hold of him. He's been a very, very, very busy man, so it's been hard to reach him. But we're going to keep trying and try to get him on the show. And so the night of the draft, the opening night, which is here in Kansas City, we'll have D.L. Marshall, and he'll be talking about some sports and us doing our previous show, which was the Sports Disciples on another station. So everybody, please listen in. We will be back next Thursday, and hopefully Coach 24 will be here, and we'll have another phenomenal show. We had a great show. I call it a great show just based on Coach 24. No matter how awesome this show is, without him, it's still never as great as with Coach 24. So, Coach 24, I hope you're doing well and have a safe trip back, and maybe we'll go golfing sometime next week. And with that, I am Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice, Coach 24, Darwin Penny, and DJ Scatter, George Walker. Be awesome, not angry, and you guys have yourself a phenomenal sports weekend.